Hi guys, welcome to Comfort Life channel. I am so happy to see you here today. In this video, we're talking about stress, actually how stress can cause inflammation in your body. It's not a secret that all of us is under stress on a daily basis, so we are all under chronic stress. And the University of Ohio has conducted a study which tells us that people who experience chronic stress, they have higher levels of internal inflammation, which in turn is a higher risk for diseases like cardiovascular disease, like arthritis, diabetes, and even depression. So this inflammation is pretty dangerous, and let's see how stress actually causes this inflammation. So in simple words, since the beginning of times, people, they manage to survive by a simple response to a stressful situation, whether we are challenged or threatened, which is fight or flight. Well, this response is not really bad. First of all, during the stressful situation, our body releases stress hormones, and these hormones, they increase our heart rate, and on one hand, they actually help us to cope with the situation, so we're more focused and it gives us energy to do so. But on the other hand, if we are constantly under stress, which happens 10 times a day, or it's really chronic, it's bad, because our body constantly releasing the stress hormones, and it's not healthy, and it's not the way it's supposed to be, like by nature. That's not the way it was created. By the way, people who are under chronic stress, they also have problems with their hormones, because all this actually messes up the hormone cortisol, which helps control the body's inflammatory response. So if our stress responsive systems over a long period of time are not maintained properly, it means that a person can simply get sick. You might start getting headaches, you might have muscle tensions, you might develop depression, and many different things. Obviously, if you think that you're not feeling well, you're under stress, just have no power to cope with it, I would definitely advise you to talk to your family member and then the doctor, because you really need to solve this situation. There is nothing bad about it if you just decide to talk about it, because we all live in a very stressful times, and every person is unique, and every person has really different this stress responsive mechanism or system. Obviously, taming our stress is not always easy. Sometimes it's impossible, and this is the way the life goes. The American Psychological Association has several tips that are really helpful. Just to point this out, by stress I mean every stressful situation which is psychologically stressful for you. Of course, if you are having very hard physical work, this is going to put a lot of stress in your body, but in a different way. I am talking about the situations that happen in your head. So as far as the tips, as I already mentioned, the tip number one is to try to talk to your family or friends. I would even probably add here, for example, you're a new mom or you have more than one kid, and it's really hard for you to maintain the house, to take care of the kid, and you are overwhelmed frequently, right? Every day, basically. And then there is nothing bad, there is no shame to talk to your kid about it. I think it's good, because you will understand that you're not a superhero, that you're actually a weak person in some things, and that's not a bad thing, because the kid will realize that this is what life is about, and that mommy gets tired. And so the same works with, let's say, your friends and colleagues and your spouse, for instance. And sometimes you think that certain things are obvious, but what I've learned in life is that it's not. Sometimes you might get offended or think like, why this or that person doesn't do something, or on the contrary does something that you think, in your opinion, shouldn't happen or should happen. But sometimes for that person, for that particular person, this isn't obvious, and he or she doesn't do it on purpose. So by talking here, actually bring this all up, and sometimes these issues, which might even not be issues in the end, will be absolutely cleared out. So you will solve your situation just by talking. It's also important because talking is therapeutical. You release your problems. Sometimes you can find a solution absolutely unexpectedly. Sometimes if you don't want to talk to anyone, there are doctors who might help, but I think these therapies are kind of expensive. I would just probably recommend here, sometimes you can just talk to yourself. It's not crazy. Talking to yourself is not considered crazy. It's also therapeutical. You might stand in front of the mirror or just talk to yourself on a daily basis. You don't even need to do it loud. You might also write things that bother you and try to find a solution. Basically, by writing it, you're also working it through, actually getting it all over your head again and again, and you will find a solution. Just think if it's going to be important within a week or within a year. Also, talking about your family members and friends, sometimes these people might be a trigger for your anxiety and stress by itself. So by avoiding any conflicts, you're also doing yourself good, and actually you're not really doing an aggressive situation by just not getting into the conflict. It's something, this is a skill you need to learn, and it takes time, but this is the best thing you could do. Especially sometimes you know that, okay, I know where this is going to end, so just make sure it doesn't end there. So try to act differently. It's for your health, it's for your benefit. Well, I shouldn't even mention here that eating well and drinking enough amount of water is essential, because this helps your body run on 100%. And of course, getting enough amount of sleep is also very important, because if you don't, your hormones are messed up again, and then your body is tired, so it has no power, no energy to work, to do anything throughout the day, so all the system function properly. So you actually need to figure out how better to get a sleep, but sleep that is going to be really beneficial, because sometimes some people have 5 hours of great sleep and they're feeling good. Some people have 8 hours of sleep and they don't. So the only recommendation is that if you have sleeping disorders, you need to really look into it. Try to stop having any screen time before going to sleep, phone time especially, because the blue light is not good for the sleep hormones. Besides, just make sure, let's say 10 minutes before going to sleep, you have a little bit of music, you just buy a yoga mat, you just lie down on it and have some couple of blocks, relax, think about nothing. That's pretty much meditation by itself. Meditation is also another tip that is recommended, but some people find it really hard to do that because they don't know how can I stop my brain from thinking. You don't really need to do that. Don't think that you cannot stop thinking. Just concentrate on your breath. Teach everyone you know the stomach breathing, because this is the most beneficial breathing. It actually makes your body be full of oxygen, and it boosts up every possible system in your body, which is also good. Another tip is to try to find a hobby or some activity that would be relaxing for you. Again, every person is different. Let's say I find that my brain relaxes when I can do cooking or cleaning, but provided I'm not really in rush, because by doing that, I think my mind just goes some other place, plus I'm doing something good. It makes me feel good. So it's relaxing for me. Some people could find fun in some creative arts, by knitting or just doing something else, doing something good, maybe volunteering job, something that would make you feel energized and motivated. Obviously, not every one of us has enough time to do this, but you have to find something that works for you. Physical activities, of course, exercising should be added to this list, but I would say nothing really extra, because sometimes if you know that you're not nourished, that your body is, that you don't have a good diet, that you're very stressed, exercises might do you really bad. It might really make you sick, because if your body doesn't have enough, so it could do more, like exercising, because this is stress at some point, it will really make your body sick. So make sure, again, that you are properly nourished. Talking about other natural things that might help you to cope up with stress, I would just point out that vitamin B is very important. If you ever decide to take B vitamin in the form of a supplement, make sure it's a B vitamin complex. This is very important. But thank God there are many types of food that can provide you with B vitamins. They're very healthy for our immune system, for the digestive system. So they have a great, abilities to help us to cope up with the stress. The foods include, but not limited to, oatmeal, to black beans, to bananas, cashews, sweet potatoes, whole wheat. Nutritional is chickpeas, and the list is really long. So make sure you find something that you like. Do you consume it regularly? Another great tip is to take a hot shower or a hot bath. I mean, not a hot bath that you cannot tolerate, but a hot shower is probably an easiest option. You could use some nice bath salts or some essential oils. It helps you to relieve nervous tension and relax the muscles. Sometimes you really have tension in your muscles when you're under stress, and all this helps you to cope up with stress. It also cleanses and stimulates your lymphatic system, and this makes your body feel clean and renewed. Another fantastic way to cope up with stress is to use a nice comforting meal. Well, this meal has to be a whole meal. It has to be a healthy meal, of course. But the best way for this meal is to be warm. It could be anything from rice to oatmeal again, and you can use your favorite toppings. And the most important thing is to enjoy this meal. Sometimes we eat on the go, we eat very fast, we don't have time, we eat because we're hungry, or we eat because we haven't really eaten for a long time. This is actually also very bad, because if you are hungry for a very long time and you don't have a normal routine for your meals, it's also bad for the hormones. So you have to set up a proper mealtime routine, and preferably do it at the same time every day. So by enjoying the meal, you are relieving the stress from your body. Believe it or not, at least one meal a day. It could be breakfast, preferably breakfast because it's like the most important meal of the day. You have to enjoy it. I've already mentioned essential oils, and I would just, talk about it a little more. Essential oils, they're very powerful. They could help you in many different ways. You can enjoy essential oils in the form of, in a bath, in a natural candle, in bath salts, mixtures. You could have an oil diffuser, so they have very good stress reducing properties, but make sure you use the good quality essential oils. I should definitely mention herbal teas such as ginger, peppermint, lavender, chamomile tea. You could enjoy them with a little bit of honey. They are all very healthy and they all help your body to relieve stress. So you can enjoy a cup of warm or hot tea at the end of the day before going to sleep. It's actually also good for the good quality sleep. As far as meditation, I know that some people find it hard to start doing this, but I find it not that hard because this is something you do when you don't have to do anything and you don't have to go anywhere. So for instance, you can just sit down in a quiet place, put on some music, and just start with 5 minutes. At least you start. That's the most important thing. You could invite your friend, your spouse, your kid to do it with you. You can hold hands and just concentrate on each other's breathing. This is actually a lot of fun and it's very therapeutical. Of course, if you're not into this kind of thing, if you're not into yoga, you could do some nice stretching. It's very beneficial for your spine, relieves the tension from your spine during the day. Chiropractic services also help a lot. And if you could, if the weather is permitting, you're in a mood, before going to sleep, instead of staring into your phone or watching a TV, just take a short walk outside. This is probably the best thing you could do at the end of the day if you want to really invest in your health. So I guess this is as many tips as I can provide you with, but of course there are a lot more and you can find something that works for you. I would just recommend just to try to maintain your stress as much as you can throughout the day. You have to follow these techniques every day, sometimes several times a day. As breathing, you could do it anywhere. You could do it during the stressful situation, which is a great plus. Also, don't dwell on stresses after it ends. Think if it's going to be important for you within a week or within a year, even 5 years sometimes. Unfortunately, we have to admit that winter times or fall times, during those times we feel more depressed because the weather gets colder and we have not enough of sun, which is vitamin D. And during holidays, for some reason, we also feel stressed. Not for some reason, we want to have it perfect, we want to buy gifts, and it's just a lot of stress outside, even in the street when you go out during the holidays. So I would just try to advise you here, try to enjoy your holiday. Even if you don't think you did enough, you've done enough. And don't ever blame yourself for anything, maybe a little bit, but not for too long. I really hope, guys, these tips will help you to cope up with stress on a daily basis, as this is something you need to be aware of. You need to make sure you take full control of it, because this is a great benefit for your health in the long term. And make sure you teach all your friends and family members about this. You tell them how it happens, you tell them why they might have stiff neck or back pain or headaches. The answer sometimes is pretty simple. I'm sure everyone know the situation when you go to the doctor because you have some pain and they say, oh, you're totally fine, your blood work is fine, I'll prescribe you pills. Well, if it's not necessarily, right? Sometimes they prescribe it just for you to feel good. Try to think about stress. Try to eliminate it as much as you can in your life, and I do believe you will feel better. Thank you guys for watching this video. I wish you to be very happy and very healthy and have a stress-free life as much as it's possible. If you like this video, please put the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you later.